Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's crack-a-lackin', Fantasy Champs?
What's up?
Rick and I got some football to watch tonight.
We do. Forgot about that.
Yesterday we released our preview show, so be sure to check that out. Even if the game's over.
Yeah, by the time
So
you
can roast us in the comments
listen
for
to
our
this.
bad takes. I don't even know what our takes were. Jonathan Taylor, I do know, is not playing.
Yeah, which we
is-
did discuss him potentially not playing.
Yes. So hopefully that content got to you. But anyway, welcome to Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Mark Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always with Pop and Rick.
What's up?
We got some good stuff to get to today. Starts and sits, the glorious, the revolutionary starts and sits of the week for fantasy football for week 5 for your win.
Yeah.
I wish, some people I feel like I'm okay with fantasy football. Like I'm good. I can play
You're
fantasy
okay
football.
with it?
Yeah, I just mean I'm good at it.
Okay. All right.
Like Jack Jones, out routes.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah. Anyway, but people roast you, say you suck at fantasy football. It's like, listen. When you get to choose from everybody, it's real easy. But then when you only select 12 guys and no one will make a trade with you, then the going gets rough. And I'm in a bad position right now. I want to publicly apologize. No matter what happens this season with Allen Robinson, I'm going to make a public apology for touting Allen Robinson all off season as an incredible draft selection because my team is suffering.
It's okay. This is probably a good time for me then to say I apologize for my love of the Chicago Bears, Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney this offseason because the Bears have the worst passing offense in the NFL, and both guys are kind of not good.
Hey,
so
things could turn around.
Mooney did have double-digit fantasy points this week, 13, after putting up 1, 0, and 4 first weeks.
Yikes. I honestly was thinking about this might be a guy I can go get and trade.
Darnell Mooney?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Add him to the room.
I don't know if he's going to be an upgrade over Allen Robinson.
No, probably not, but add him to the room.
Yeah.
More bodies. Oh, maybe they'll start scoring fantasy points.
The wheel of gutless bums
Yeah.
at flex.
Yep.
At flex.
Yep. But anyway, week 5 starts and sits. Before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, please leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the button for notifications, like and comment down below. Wow, that's so hard for me not to say if you're listening. It almost came out twice. All right, Allen Robinson though. Rick,
Mm-hmm.
if you had to choose between Allen Robinson
Okay.
and Isaiah McKenzie, who would you choose?
Yep. Oh my gosh. That's so. I don't know. I think. So I'm just I just looked it up on Fantasy Pros to see who was ranked higher, and they're back to back. Allen Robinson is higher, but by a single spot, 46 and 47. Wide receiver 46 and wide receiver 47. I would start Allen Robinson. Just go down with the ship. Just go down with
the ship.
Go down with the ship.
If George Pickens was on the waiver wire and your bench was stacked and your last guy was Allen Robinson or George Pickens?
Pickens has a really hard matchup this week.
Just rest the season.
Rest the season? Because we might talk about Pickens on the show today. But rest of season, I might lean Pickens. with Kenny Pickett there.
What about Romeo Dubes? 8 targets, 16 targets in 2 games. That's 16 more targets. Wait, let's see. 16 targets in 2 games is more targets than Allen Robinson has had all season.
I might go Romeo, dude. I might.
This is bad. This is real bad.
It is bad.
I could play the same game with Travis Etienne, but at least there's hope there.
Etienne, there's a little bit more hope, I think.
All right. This is not Allen Robinson's show, though. This is for the starts and sits.
Yeah.
Who are they playing this week, by the way, the Rams? The Rams.
The Cowboys.
Is their defense good or bad?
Cowboys have a good defense, so you might be toast.
Whatever, dude.
They have the number 1 team pass rush in the NFL this year so far.
Sean McVay better get his head out of his butt and start making this offense good, like the guru he is.
Yeah, we'll see.
He was not a guru. People don't win Super Bowls. Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Although Kyle Shanahan makes Jimmy G look real good.
I was gonna say, Kyle Shanahan's as much as I hate him, has probably one of the best offensive minds I've ever seen in football.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's talk about starts and sits for the week. This should be a fun show. We got 3 starts, 3 sits. Bada bing, bada boom. We're going to bring them to you right now without further ado. So we'll start with the sits. The starts. We're going to start with the starts. All right. Number 1, Terry McLaurin versus Tennessee. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good one.
I'm kind of scared.
Okay. Why are you scared?
I don't know. Terry McLaurin scares the living frick out of me, but his numbers have probably been Allen Robinson. Maybe I'm just having a bad week.
They are better than Allen Robinson.
You know what it is? I didn't say this. The home league, I had an 86% chance of winning according to Fantasy Pros. I had an 89% chance of winning according to Sleeper.
This is why you don't look at projections.
And I had Brandon Ayuk and Allen Robinson left in the game on Monday night against the Rams defense. And all I needed was 12 freaking points. But you know what happened? A pick 6 at the end of the game. A pick friggin' 6.
Oh, wait.
I got 9 points out of Allen Robinson and Brandon Ayuk. And instead of his defense getting 10, 11, 12, like a normal defense week, I get a pick 6.
That's not good.
No.
Side note, I just want to say I've noticed your strategy picking up defenses. You picked up Steelers defense last week because they're playing the Jets. And this week you picked up Dolphins defense because they're playing the Jets. Did the Steelers defense have a lot of fantasy points for you last week? I'm just curious. Just ask.
They had 5.
Just ask. Okay. So you picked up
I'm not targeting
defense
the
to get 5 points?
But the Dolphins are better.
Okay. You know what? I like the Dolphins one more than the Steelers last week. I almost texted you.
This had nothing to do with the Jets, though.
But I wasn't going to because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to – we'll see. And then 5 points. Dolphins do have a better defense than the Steelers, so I will give you that. But I don't think they're getting 20.
You know what? My original waiver wire selection for defense was not them. I just put in – you know what I've started doing? I don't know if this is a strategy or not, but I'm sick of fighting people for waiver budget. So I just put like I have 3 to 5 defenses that I like, and I just I put them in waiver priority above each other and don't put any waiver budget on them.
That is actually a good idea.
So then I don't get screwed.
You're guaranteed to get your. Well, that's not true.
That's not true. If everybody puts waiver budget on somebody, then I'm fricked.
Different defenses, yeah.
You know what? 1 week
for me, it's like, dude.
Go ahead.
What were you gonna say? Oh, okay. Well, this is the beauty of Zoom. I was gonna say, at this point, we're in week 5. Who cares about waiver budget? I'm just throwing it around like it's nothing now.
Well, I used all of mine 2 weeks ago for Zay Jones and Isaiah McKenzie.
How much do you have?
82.
Oh, well.
So I need something the rest of the season here.
I guess so.
Anyway, so when I don't get a defense, I think I'm going to pick up the worst possible defense I could and just run him out there. See what happens. I'm running Allen Robinson out there. Might as well completely shoot myself in the stomach. Anyway,
fair enough.
We're going to talk about Terry McLaurin. He is playing the Tennessee Titans, and Tennessee's been okay, but I think the main talking point, Tennessee has had 36 points, fourth worst in the NFL. That's a top 4 easy matchup, by the way. They've given up 36 fantasy points to the wide receiver position. I don't know what I'm saying right now.
I was a little confused.
My brain shut off for a second. They have an easy matchup this week, is what I'm trying to say. Terry McLaurin has an easy matchup this week, and it's gone. Why don't you take it over, Rick?
This is a tough start to the show. Morgan's really struggling right now. Not with his personal life necessarily, but with his personal fantasy teams. Stuck with Allen Robinson and
I have to tank in a league, and that's miserable. And now I'm losing the home league games.
Anyway, with Terry McLaurin, he's a great start this week. As Morgan was trying to say, the Titans have a horrible defense. Jahan Dotson is out.
Yeah,
for potentially the next 2 weeks.
That's what I was trying to say.
So Carson Wentz is going to force feed McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and probably Logan Thomas. I don't know who else. Football. McLaurin is also coming off a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
So usually when good players have bad games, they don't have 2 bad games in a row. That's something I've over the very simple monkey brain that I've learned over the years playing fantasy football.
Is he a good wide receiver though?
He's a good real life wide
he's
receiver.
A good real life wide receiver. I would agree with
that. And before last week, I think he was top. I think he was like the wide receiver 16. So I mean, not good, but not awful.
Yeah, before you roast Allen Robinson's 2 catches on 6 targets for 12 yards.
I know. McLaurin didn't do much better last week.
Yeah. Would you be okay with starting Curtis Samuel too in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting him over Bateman in the home league. So,
yeah, 36 fantasy points a game though is quite a lot to give up. So, I think this is but for both Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin, but mostly Terry McLaurin, this is a really, really, really good matchup for him. I just hope that it's not like week 1 he had 4 targets and week 4 he had 6 targets. So I hope it's not a low target share game for whatever reason. But I don't Tennessee doesn't completely suck to the point where they're just outright losing games. Football team wise, they're in games. It's competitive. So this won't be Washington walking in and blowing out a team. Not that Washington has the capability of doing that, but I do feel like this is going to be a game where they're going to be going back and forth. Scoring is going to be competitive. So Terry McLaurin should get a plethora of targets in this game and allow him to become a really good start this week. Because when he gets targets, he plays well.
Right.
It's simple.
Yeah. And he also you could see a touchdown this week from McLaurin too. I like touchdowns.
See it. Touchdowns are good. All right. Anything else on McLaurin?
No.
All right. Now that my brain is on the right track.
Hopefully.
It's just I've been trying to trade for 3 weeks because I know Chase Edmonds and Allen Robinson. I knew after week 1 no.
Yeah.
So I've been trying, but it's just not working. Nothing's working, and I'm at wit's end. But anyway, all right. Let's tell you the second start of the week.
Who is it?
Patriots running backs.
Yeah.
Detroit Lions. If you had to choose a running back in this game against the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell's chew your bones off.
Mm-hmm.
He would be a great head coach of the Cleveland Browns. dog pound,
True, he actually would, yeah.
bite kneecaps, all that good stuff. But who would you choose between Harris and Stevenson? Which guy would you want more?
I think
Say a fantasy manager has both of them. What are they doing?
yeah, I think I don't know, man. It's kind of gross. Their snap percentages are pretty much even.
Mm-hmm.
I think in PPR though, you might want to lean Stevenson because of his target share, but Harris is the safer play without a doubt, and like he's almost a guaranteed touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna get the goal line work. So probably Damian Harris just based on that. But if you want the chance for like a bigger week, maybe Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Stevenson will get the passing work. Last 2 weeks he has 5 targets on 4 catches, which is pretty good. And he's actually had the higher snap percentage, but they're pretty much neck and neck. Like in Fantasy Pros right now, they're for their weekly rankings. I think they're both back to back, running back 22, running back 23. And when I do my rankings, which I will finish them tonight, I don't know who I'm going to have higher, and they'll probably be like 1 or 2 spots away from each other. So
right. Harris so far has had 7, 16, 12, and 15 on the season. Stevenson currently has 4, 6, 20, and 12. So
Harris is definitely the more
Harris is the
stable.
He's more stable. He's the guy that, like,
he's not going to get you 20 though.
He gets the goal line work, so that's big. And the other thing that I think I'm concerned about is that there's kind of like a two-headed monster here for the Patriots, right? Mac Jones, limited participant in practice. I don't have the practice report for Thursday or Friday, obviously. So I don't know if he practiced or not in a full or limited capacity. But if Mac Jones keeps trending towards playing on Sunday and he takes the field, I feel a lot better about Ramondre than I would if Bailey Zappi is in there. And I also feel a lot better about Damian Harris as well. I don't like Harris's upside is that he's going to score touchdowns, right? If you have Zappi out there, how many touchdowns are there available?
True.
So,
Lions defense though, dude, the worst in the NFL.
That's true. That's very true. So we'll see. We'll see how things kind of shake out for the Patriots. I would agree with Rick. Damian Harris, if he has touchdown upside, like, I mean, the dude, he gets all the red zone opportunity. So it's basically at this point, I would take Damian Harris over Ramondre Stevenson, but I think both are good starts this week. Rick said, Detroit blows. Like, they're very bad. Very, very bad. They give up Houston Texans give up the most fantasy points to the running back position, 29.9. Detroit not too far behind at 28.4. So, the worst rush defense in the NFL against the best rush offense in the NFL. Those two things come together. It's going to be a good game for both of these guys. I think, especially, if Bailey Zappi's in there, they're both going to get a lot of running work. Even if Mac Jones is in there, I think that the game plan would be to get the running backs the ball. So I like both of these guys. I feel good about both of these guys, and I would start both Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. If you had them both on your team and you both had spots, would you start them both? I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either, but it depends what the rest of your team looks like. I would consider it.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, if you have a good flex already, you're probably not going to start both guys. Just kind of hurts your team's ceiling. Pick one, last call.
I'm taking Harris.
Me too.
All right, number 3, we have Gabe Davis versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm sorry for last week. I don't know what happened. I don't remember what happened. I'm gonna start.
He was battling an ankle injury, but this is just who Gabe Davis is.
Boomer bust, touchdown dependent.
Yep.
He is playing Tennessee. That's not true. He's playing Pittsburgh. I literally looked at it and I said Tennessee. I don't like that's not true at all. He is playing Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is one of the worst pass defenses so far this year. They haven't been great. So I think this particular week is a really, really good start for Gabe Davis. But like Rick said, the thing is that like Josh Allen throws it a lot. And he's not really throwing it to Dawson Knox a ton. I haven't really looked at the numbers, but
I hope so.
I haven't. I've watched like 3 Bills games, and I haven't heard his name. So
Knox, yeah, he's not been good.
So, and you have Stefon Diggs, and then they don't really pass it to the running back position. So it's like, who the heck is getting the targets? Like
last week, it was McKenzie, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Like Gabe Davis, if you were in this offense, and you're the wide receiver too, you should be getting 10 targets a game. But does Gabe Davis suck? I don't understand. Anyway.
Well, I don't think they threw the ball as much this week.
Okay.
It's crazy because they still threw it 36 times. But the week before, Josh Allen had 63 pass attempts.
Yeah.
So for the Bills, 36 is like a run-heavy game script.
Steelers give up 33 fantasy points. I was trying to find the numbers. Steelers give up 33 fantasy points a game to the wide receiver position.
Yeah. No, Gabe Davis, and this is why like I wasn't as high on him as other people.
I agree.
And
somehow he makes it on
in the offseason
show every week.
Yeah, in best ball leagues, remember he was getting drafted in like the 4th round, and we're like, "What's going on?"
Yeah,
and that was just too high. But he will have big weeks, and I think this week could be one of them, just because it's such a favorable matchup for him. Looks like he's about 100% now. So I think, this week against Pittsburgh, I could see him getting a touchdown or 2 and having one of those 20 fantasy point weeks that we've seen him in the past get. And then everybody hops right back on the Gabe Davis train just like that.
Now, the Steelers do have some decent players in the secondary. And I would imagine that those players in the secondary are probably going to be shadowing or covering the side of the field that has Stefon Diggs on it.
Right.
So if that's the case, then that should open things up for Gabe Davis, I would hope. But like I said, every week with Gabe Davis, there's always a chance he gets a touchdown. There's always a chance that he has. Usually when he has a week, it's like 2 touchdowns, and it's big. So I'm projecting this week to be a big week for Gabe Davis versus Pittsburgh. And I think we'll be happy that we started him finally. But he can't. If he keeps playing like this, I mean, he's not good.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I'm glad I didn't draft him in any leagues. That was a. I feel like everyone's consensus breakouts have just been sucky.
Except the people that said Amon-Ra. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even Javonte breakout. I don't think we hit a single guy this year.
Oh, whoa. That's not true.
Who?
Christian Kirk, bro. No, I don't know. Pittman, Kirk.
Yeah, Pittman. Did we say Kirk? I didn't say Kirk.
I was a Christian Kirk guy.
Yeah,
I don't know if I had him officially listed.
I mean, we were drafting Christian Kirk, but we didn't say it was a breakout.
Well, technically, like if you define breakout as like a guy who has never been good before and then breaks out, I don't know how many of those guys are even out there this year.
That's true.
Dameon Pierce.
Maybe ETN comes out and
maybe.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's really Amon-Ra, right? That's like that's the only guy that I could think of that's like having a breakout season.
I mean, is it a breakout though? When he did it last year.
I know that's what I don't know.
Anyway, so let's talk about some sits. Unless you have any more thoughts on Gabe.
No,
okay.
No, that's it.
Number 1 on our sit list, we have Rashad Penny against New Orleans. He just had 28 fantasy points against a pretty porous run defense. And I think a lot of people are going to run out and get all hot and bothered over Rashad Penny. Like the breakout's finally here. Even as he was scoring touchdowns, I was on Twitter reading tweets about how he's arrived. And the Rashad Penny truthers are out and strong. And I love Rashad Penny. I've always liked them. But like he hasn't been good this year. And it's clear, like this, if this is not the year for Rashad Penny to have success, this is it. Like, it's over. They have Kenneth Walker. They have other options. They're rebuilding this offense. Like, they're not going to continue force-feeding Penny the ball if he sucks. So it's good that he had this game, but he hasn't been great all year. As the season goes along, I think Walker is going to start taking that role more and more. But when you're talking about a matchup against one of the better run defenses in the NFL, the New Orleans Saints, only giving up 15 fantasy points a game to the running back position, it's going to be really tough for Rashad Penny to show he can have some really good weeks rest of season or even in this game. So I would sit Penny at least for this week. If he has a good week, then I'm okay with taking that on my bench because you know what? He has a good week. He gets, 15, 20 fantasy points, and then he becomes even more like tradable for your team, which is good. I'm not going to be sitting here going, unless this is like a matchup deciding decision, but if you're in week 4 or 5 and this is a matchup deciding decision, bye week start this week, right?
Do they, or is it next week?
I think it's this week. I could be wrong though. But even so,
I think I don't know.
If you have your full lineup this week and there is no bye weeks, then you really if you're choosing between Rashad Penny and other people, you're in my position where I have 3 running backs. So, anyway, I would sit him against New Orleans this week. I feel pretty confident in that.
Yeah, me too. The Saints have been one of the best defenses this year against the run, I believe. On Fantasy Pros, their matchup rating is a 3.6, so that's not good at all. It's probably going to be a low-scoring game. Penny also has not been good this year other than this past week. And part of it's not really his fault because he's not bad on the ground. It's just that he has 0 receiving upside whatsoever. He has 5 targets in 4 games. So he's got little to no passing work. He needs to have like 100 yards rushing and a touchdown to have a pretty good week. And I don't think that's happening against a good Saints defense. He was able to do that against the Lions last week, but we've talked about how bad the Lions defense is. And he had some really big runs in that game. So does he have a game where he gets like 70 rushing yards and is semi-efficient against the Saints? Yeah, sure. But that's 7 fantasy points. And then he maybe gets 1 like 6-yard reception, and then he's at 9 fantasy points and that's it. So I'm with you. I'm very okay with sitting Penny this week. And if he blows up, he blows up. And now you have a good trade value to trade him away. But I'm willing to die on the hill that Penny's not going to have a big week this week.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not going to be the end of the world, if he blows up.
It won't at all.
I won't be kicking myself.
That is one I will not be sad about.
Right.
Number 2 on the sit list, we have Cowboys running backs or Ezekiel Elliott, who's essentially dead at this point, versus the Los Angeles Rams. They are in Los Angeles. The Rams have also been one of those. They've been the best. They've been the best against running backs in fantasy football, only giving up 12 points a game to the running back.
Jeff Wilson did kind of blow him up last week, though, but he only had 13 fantasy points. So,
yikes! But they have Zeke and they have Pollard. So we say Cowboys running backs because I don't think you should start any of them, but it's starting to get to that point where, today I think with Rick brought up Zeke and he's like, are we going to do that? And I'm like, yeah. Zeke is at that point in his career. That's it. He's not an RB1 anymore. He wasn't drafted to be an RB1. He was drafted to be an RB2 mid-range, and that's what he has produced. He's produced actually lower than that. So we've just come to the point where Zeke is a, he's a start for people.
Yeah, he's a flex.
But he's not, and he might even be an RB2 for some, which I think is a solid RB2. But it's coming to the point in Zeke's career where he's not that guy anymore. So you have to adjust your expectations. And I hate to say that to people who are listening to this podcast going, oh, Zeke is still an RB1. Zeke's still the guy. He's not. And he's not going to be. This happens to people all the time. I would not be surprised if Zeke is sitting on the side of the road like Todd Gurley in 3 years. So, but both these running backs against Los Angeles, who only gives up 12 points a game, they split pretty evenly at this point. So because of that, if they both get 6 fantasy points and everyone's like, what the hell happened? We told you not to start either of them.
Yeah, exactly. Zeke's coming off 2 decent weeks after having 2 really bad weeks. Against the Giants, he was really good. But last week against Washington, like, he had a high snap percentage and he had 21 touches, but he only had 10 fantasy points. He had 49 yards on 19 carries. That is just brutal, not good. And then this week against the Rams, he hasn't really gotten much passing work either. Pollard has taken over the passing work in that offense for the running backs. So Zeke is getting like 2 targets a week. And against the Rams, like, they're not going to do much, I think, on the ground. It's going to have to be through the air for the running backs. And that's more for Pollard than Zeke. But even Pollard, I'm not trying to start Tony Pollard if he's going to get like 8 carries for 10 yards and then gets like 3 targets for 2 or 3 catches. Like, it's not, neither guy is really appealing. I mean, Zeke is a tougher spot, but if you have Zeke, you might be forced in a situation where you have to start him. But if you have any other options that you're considering, I would put those guys in over Zeke.
Yeah.
And Pollard as well.
Number 3, George Pickens at Buffalo. Buffalo has had one of the better defenses in the NFL, and so far this year only given up 21 fantasy points a game to the wide receiver position as a whole. Very difficult matchup for George Pickens. He is arguably the number 3 wide receiver on the team for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he is ascending into a number 2 role at this point for the Steelers, so I think he's past Chase Claypool, but there's an argument to be made that maybe he's not and that those guys are at an even threshold. With that being said, I would assume that most of the fantasy points scored against Buffalo are going to go to Deontay Johnson this week. And so because of that, a guy like George Pickens that everyone's been really excited about, you've seen the target share increase, you've seen the snap percentage increase, all of that stuff is going well for Pickens. I just don't think it's going to translate into a good fantasy week for this week because he's playing Buffalo. Rick and I also had a slight hesitation on this one because I feel like George Pickens is one of those players that just could light up the field any week. And
he could.
And against Buffalo would be any time as ever for him just to like make a one-handed sidearm catch in the back of the touchdown and or the back of the end zone, especially and tap his feet down, and everyone's like, "What the frick?" If that happens, I will remember this moment.
Well, the thing with Pickett too, and like why I was hesitant is, with Pickens, is because Pickett targeted him the most by a lot. I think when Kenny Pickett got in the game, I saw something that Pickens had like close to a 40% target share.
Yeah,
with Kenny Pickett, which is ridiculous. So there's a chance that Pickens gets double-digit targets. What is it?
Kenny Pickett is such an unfortunate name. You can make so many interception jokes.
Oh, I know.
But anyway, sorry.
But yeah, because of that, I think Pickens will get, some targets, but at the same time, it's against Buffalo, and they have a very good defense, and I don't really see the Steelers doing much in this game. And you would have to expect Deontay Johnson to get more targets than he did last week as well. So I would expect Deontay to be the guy, and then Pickens kind of play second fiddle to him. And I don't really see him getting a touchdown this week because of that. But of every guy on this list is probably the one I was most nervous about, I will say. And I don't think we have him. Just double checking for our other show. Okay. Oh, no, we do. Never mind. All right. That's all I have to say about Pickens then.
Okay. All right. Good. There are your starts and sits. Boom, boom. Bang. I brought it back together. All right. After a complete, utter calamity at the beginning of the show. Not even knowing what I was talking about because my fantasy teams are failing. We're good. All right. Trade targets tomorrow. We'll give you some information on that. See you later, guys.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.